students. Myself Prakash Chandra Paricha. I am head of the Department of Zoology, Ramadevi Women's University, Bhubaneswar. So we are discussing reproductive health. Today we have the last part of that reproductive health unit, that is assisted reproductive technology. In the last class, we discussed the different causes of infertility in both men and women. As we saw, infertility or the failure to achieve pregnancy may be due to problem with the part of male partner or with that of female partner. Also, you know that when a couple, after trying for a 1 year period of 1 year or more, fails to achieve pregnancy, then it causes them great mental pain, and they develop a feeling of incompleteness. They feel that married life is incomplete without having children. So for them, assisted reproductive technology is a boon. Assisted reproductive technology refers to the treatment and those processes aimed at getting pregnant. Different assisted reproductive technologies are available, such as IVF or in vitro fertilization. Then you have GIFT, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Also you have zygote intrafallopian transfer. So these are some of the assisted reproductive technology. We will first discuss the IVF or in vitro fertilization. In vitro fertilization, in short, is known as IVF. Commonly, it is known as test tube baby technique. So it is commonly known as test tube baby technique. In vitro fertilization means fertilization occurs in human body. In case of humans, in a human female, that is in woman, fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube or the uterine tube. Fertilization means the union of the male and female gamete, the union of sperm and ovum. It occurs in the female body, usually in the fallopian tube. But here, fertilization occurs outside the female body. That's why it is called in vitro fertilization. It occurs outside female body in the laboratory. In the glassware of a laboratory, the fertilization is done. Then the embryo is implanted in the uterus. Since fertilization occurs outside the human body, it is called in vitro fertilization. This technique of in vitro fertilization was devised by these two. One is Patrick Steptoe and the other one is Robert Edwards. This technique was introduced in 1978. Using this technique, these two physicians they helped a childless couple to have a baby. So the first test tube baby born or the first baby born using this technique was in 1978, and the baby born was Louise Brown. For devising this technique, Patrick Steptoe got a Nobel Prize in physiology or medicine. Here the fertilization is done outside the body. Now we will see what are the different steps or the major steps which are involved in this test tube baby technique or in vitro fertilization. First is ovarian stimulation. So these are the major steps of in vitro fertilization. Ovarian stimulation, then second is collection of eggs, then third step is fertilization of the eggs in the laboratory, then a transfer of the pre-embryos into the uterus. So the first step is ovarian stimulation. During this process, the ovary of the woman is stimulated to produce a number of eggs at the same time. Usually a woman produces only one egg during the fertile period or reproductive phase of her life. A woman produces only one egg per month. But during this first step of this procedure, there is ovarian stimulation. That means the ovary is induced or it is stimulated to develop more than one egg. several ovarian follicles develop in the ovary of the female. This ovarian stimulation is done with the help of hormonal injections. In the early part of the menstrual cycle, the woman who is undergoing this process is given hormonal injection for say 8 to 14 days, and those hormones, those hormone injections, they basically contain FSH, that is the follicle stimulating hormone. They will stimulate the ovary so that there will be development of several ovarian follicles, so that they can be collected. The growth of the ovarian follicles in the ovary is closely monitored with the help of ultrasound scan. Also, with the help of the hormonal levels through blood test, the growth of the ovarian follicles is monitored. The level of estrogen, progesterone in the blood is monitored, so that how the eggs are developing, that can be observed. Then towards the last part, as the eggs develop, the ovarian follicles they develop chorionic gonadotropic hormone. Human chorionic gonadotropic hormone is given, which acts like luteinizing hormone. This hormone stimulates ovulation. So, towards the last part of this phase, this chorionic gonadotropic hormone is given, and after about 24 to 36 hours of the woman being given this injection, the eggs will be collected from the ovary of the female. So, this was the first part, that is ovarian stimulation. Then the second part is collection of eggs, also known as retrieval of eggs. During this process, the ovarian follicles containing the oocytes or the eggs, they are collected from the ovary of the female. During this collection of egg, this process is done by laparoscopic means. Laparoscopy is a small telescope-like equipment. By making a small incision, usually in the navel region of the woman, this telescope is inserted into the abdominal cavity of the woman, and to expand the abdominal cavity, then by putting gas into the abdominal cavity, that abdominal cavity is expanded, so that the physicians can have a better view of the organs inside the abdominal cavity. With the help of laparoscope, which has camera facility and a light facility, the physician which is performing this procedure of collection of eggs can actually observe the ovarian follicles in the ovary of the woman. Then a hollow needle is penetrated through the wall of the abdomen into the ovary, and along with the follicular fluid, the eggs are sucked off. This is one procedure of retrieving eggs from the ovary of the female who has been stimulated with hormonal injections. Then another process is through the vaginal route. The ovary can be accessed through vagina, uterus, and oviduct or the fallopian tube, or else a hollow needle can be inserted through the wall of the vagina directly into the ovary to access the eggs. Then with the help of that hollow needle, the eggs are sucked up with the follicular fluid. So using this method, the eggs are collected. Usually more than 5 eggs, say up to 15 eggs, if they are present, they can be collected. Then the collected sample, the fluid containing the ovarian, the oocytes, is observed under microscope. It is immediately observed under the microscope for the presence of eggs. Then the eggs are transferred into a medium, a culture medium, and the eggs are kept in incubator. Then sperms are collected. The semen is collected from a male partner. So sperms are collected from the male partner, and the sperms are washed. The sperms are washed to make them free from the seminal fluid. Then the sperms are concentrated and in a glass container or in a glass container, these two are mixed. The eggs and the sperms, they are mixed, and this mixture of egg and sperms is kept in the incubator. Usually after 6 hours of the collection of the eggs, the sperms are added to the eggs. Then the container containing eggs and the sperms, they are kept in an incubator for the fertilization to occur. Normally, when they are kept together, the sperms and eggs, they are kept together, there will be fertilization. If there is no fertilization, then intracytoplasmic injection can be followed. Then this process of intracytoplasmic injection is utilized. Here what is done, if normally fertilization does not occur on its own, then sperm is injected, a sperm is directly injected into the egg. That is known as intracytoplasmic injection. Then so here the fertilization is occurring in the laboratory in glassware, in a petri dish or in a test tube. That's why it is called in vitro fertilization. So once fertilization occurs, it occurs either on its own or by using intracytoplasmic injection. Sperm is injected into the egg so that there will be fertilization. Then the fertilized egg is kept in an incubator at body temperature for about say 48 hours, during which the fertilized egg will undergo cleavage, or it will undergo division. It will divide by cleavage. When the embryo, after division, the fertilized egg now is called embryo. When the embryo is 2 to 8 celled stage, when it is at 2 to 8 celled stage, this embryo is known as pre-embryo. The eggs are fertilized, then the fertilized eggs they undergo cleavage. When they are at 2 to 8 cell stage, they are ready for transfer to the uterus of the woman. At this stage, these embryos are known as pre-embryos. These embryos are now ready for transfer into the uterus of the female or uterus of the woman. So now the pre-embryos are ready for transfer into the uterus. This step involves transfer of more than one pre-embryo into the uterus of the female. For this transfer technique, a small flexible tube, a long flexible tube is inserted and into the uterus of the female, and through that tube the pre-embryos in a culture medium they are forced into the uterus. So multiple pre-embryos are usually placed in the uterus of the female. Multiple pre-embryos are placed in the uterus of the female because at least one or two of them will get implanted in the uterus of the female. Usually 2 to 3 pre-embryos are placed in the uterus of the female. When just one pre-embryo is placed in the uterus of the female, the chances of pregnancy is 10%. When two pre-embryos are placed in the uterus, then the chances of pregnancy is 14%. But when three pre-embryos are placed in the uterus, then the chances of getting pregnancy is 25%. But when multiple embryos are placed, multiple pre-embryos are placed in the uterus of the female, chances of multiple pregnancy are there. So after the embryo, the pre-embryo is placed in the uterus, this procedure is done in the hospital. This transfer procedure is a painless process, and after few hours of transfer of the pre-embryo into the uterus, the woman can move out of the hospital. Then after 14 days, the woman goes for pregnancy test to confirm whether the implantation has occurred or not, whether the embryo are attached to the wall of the uterus or not. During this process, several pre-embryos are placed in the uterus. the extra embryos, they may be preserved for use if a subsequent repetition of this process is required. If the during the first trial there is no pregnancy, then in subsequent trials those stored pre-embryos can be used. So, after the confirmation of the pregnancy, the embryo grows in the uterus of the female up to full term. So, these were the various steps involved in vitro fertilization. In India, this process was introduced in 1986 in KEM Hospital, Bombay. This procedure was introduced in India for the first time in the year 1986. This procedure is a boon for many childless couple, but this procedure is expensive and it is available in India. It is available in big cities only. In small towns, this procedure is not available. Also, this is an expensive procedure, and during this process there is a chance of infection. During the laparoscopy process, which is used for retrieving egg, anesthesia is used. That anesthesia may have side effect, may cause side effects in that woman. Then another drawback of this IVF is there are chances of multiple pregnancy. If there occurs multiple pregnancy, then it may cause danger for the woman which is carrying multiple pregnancy, or it may cause problem for the multiple fetus which are growing on in the same uterus. So, these are some of the drawbacks of this process. This IVF can be performed for those women who have blockage of blockage of the oviduct or the fallopian tube. As I have already told you that fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube. If there is any blockage in the fallopian tube, then the movement of the egg in the fallopian tube will be obstructed. Consequently, there will be no meeting of egg and sperm. So, for those women who have blockage of oviduct, they can go for this procedure. Also, this IVF is useful for those women who cannot produce egg, using egg from donor. If the woman has a normal functioning uterus, then using egg from donor, this process can be performed. Similarly, when the male partner has impotency or low sperm count, or if there is a problem with sexual intercourse between a male and a female partner, then also this procedure can be adopted to get pregnant. Then another assisted reproductive technology is zygote intrafallopian transfer, or ZIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer. It is a variation of the IVF. If IVF fails, then the woman or the couple can go for zygote intrafallopian transfer or gamete intrafallopian transfer. Here it is intrafallopian, means the zygote is placed inside the fallopian tube or the uterine tube. The process of acquiring egg and getting it fertilized in the lab is same as that of the IVF process, but once the egg is fertilized, then the fertilized egg is placed in the fallopian tube. Then from the fallopian tube, the fertilized egg will move to the uterus, where it will develop into a fetus. But in vitro fertilization, the pre-embryo is placed in the uterus. Here, zygote is placed within the fallopian tube. As you know, it is in the fallopian tube fertilization occurs. So here the egg is fertilized in the laboratory, then that fertilized egg is placed in the fallopian tube. For placing the egg in the fallopian tube, usually laparoscopic procedure is adopted. Once the egg is placed in the fallopian tube, the fertilized egg will take its natural course of development, will move to the uterus, will get implanted in the uterine wall, and will develop into a fetus. This procedure can be followed only if the fallopian tube is normal. If there is blockage in the fallopian tube, then this procedure cannot be adopted. Then gamete intrafallopian transfer. This procedure is also intrafallopian. So here, as in IVF and zygote intrafallopian transfer, the gametes are collected, but in this process, instead of being a zygote placed in the fallopian tube, gametes are placed. The eggs and sperms, they are placed in the fallopian tube, so that there will be fertilization in the fallopian tube. This process is close to natural process, because here the egg is allowed to be fertilized in the fallopian tube, like natural process. But the problem with this gamete intrafallopian transfer is that there is no guarantee of fertilization. In case of IVF, the pre-embryo is placed in the uterus, and in case of zygote intrafallopian transfer, the zygote, already fertilized egg, is placed in the fallopian tube, but here gametes, separate gametes are placed in the fallopian tube. So one cannot guarantee that there will be fertilization of eggs. So here, to ensure fertilization, a large number of eggs are placed in the fallopian tube along with the sperms. But in case of zygote intrafallopian transfer, so much eggs are not required, because a fertilized eggs are placed in the fallopian tube. These two processes are close to natural process. So when IVF fails, the couple can go for these two processes, zygote intrafallopian transfer and gamete intrafallopian transfer. Sometimes for the process of IVF, surrogacy may be adopted. In surrogacy, the fertilized egg or the pre-embryo is placed in the uterus of a woman. That woman is not a biological mother. An agreement is made with a woman who is willing to give surrogacy or to nurse the zygote or the embryo in her uterus. Normally, the women who have defective uterus, in those women where the uterus cannot bear baby, such women for zygote intrafallopian, for the process of IVF, in vitro fertilization, they may go for surrogacy. A woman, if a woman agrees to bear the baby in her uterus, then using that surrogate mother or surrogate uterus, the process of IVF can be performed. Then another method, assisted reproductive technology available, is intrauterine insemination. This process can be used when the male partner has a problem of erection, that is impotency, or if sperm count is low, or if the cervix of the woman partner is hostile to the sperm of the male partner, then this procedure can be done. In intrauterine insemination, the sperms are collected from the male partner, then the semen containing the sperms is concentrated, and with the help of a tube, the concentrated semen containing the sperms, they are injected into the uterus or into vagina. Preferably, they are introduced into the uterus so that the sperms will move into the oviduct, and there will be fertilization. This process is very effective when it is used together with the medication for ovulation in women. By giving hormonal medicine to the woman, the timing of the ovulation can be regulated, and accordingly this intrauterine insemination procedure can be adopted. So these were the various assisted reproductive technologies available to overcome the problem of infertility and the childless, the inability to have a child problem in couples, to solve those problems. Of the different assisted reproductive technologies, the most used one, especially in Western countries, is in vitro fertilization. In the United States of America, about 98% of the assisted reproductive technology used is IVF, that is in vitro fertilization, and the rest 2% account for this gamete intrafallopian transfer and zygote intrafallopian transfer.